That is, the transactions are costing 10 billion, and that too this year in August. Meanwhile, GST collections have reached 1.6 lakh crore, registering 11% growth in August 2023. Domestic transaction revenue has seen a 14% rise. And also, this is Digital India's record. And we've seen also the overall domestic transactions that we are talking about, that it's reached, GST collections have reached 1.6 lakh crore report, 11% growth in August 2023. Domestic transactions revenue seeing a 14% rise. But ladies and gentlemen, Rajinikanth has perhaps now become the highest paid actor in India. He reportedly got 110 crore paid by Sun Pictures for Jailer, and he's got another additional check if the reports are to be believed, because Jailer has already crossed 600 crore globally. So 210 crore quite literally for Talaivar for the movie Jailer. Meanwhile, Jawan, Shah Rukh Khan's Jawan is also witnessing an extraordinary start. Record advance bookings of over 50,000 bookings that have already been made, with some tickets selling at a price of as much as 2,400 rupees per ticket. Well, on that happy note, let's dive into the political debate. Is it going to be one nation, one poll that's going to be the subject matter of this special session of Parliament? Or is there a twist in the story?
अभी नया जो विषय आता है देश के हित में, उसका तो चर्चा तो करना चाहिए। तो चर्चा करने के लिए कमेटी रचा दिया गया है। तो इसका अर्थ ये नहीं है कि कल से ही हो जाएगा, ऐसे तो हमने थोड़ी कहा है।
देश की सबसे बड़ी आबादी के राज्य उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता की ओर से आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
ये केवल संविधान में संशोधन राज्यसभा और लोकसभा में हो जाए तो संभव नहीं, राज्यों को भी स्वीकृति देनी है। पर जो राज्य बीजेपी में हैं वो वहाँ अपनी विधानसभा बना।
नॉट वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, वी वांट फेयर इलेक्शन, जो आज देश में नहीं हो रहा है। और ये फेयर इलेक्शन जो हम मांग रहे हैं, ये टालने के लिए ये वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन का ये फंडा लेकर आए हैं।
Well, one nation, one election, or one poll or not, that means a common poll or not. We do think we are building up to a one nation, one opposition as far as the Lok Sabha elections are concerned, ladies and gentlemen, because that alliance there seems to be getting into some kind of a function. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to organize themselves in ranks. Each party has got somebody who's part of various organizing committees, and this Indian National Developmental and Inclusive Alliance seems to be taking some amount of shape, although they have not arrived at a convener, although parties like the Trinamool have not appointed anybody beyond Abhishek Banerjee across any of the other committees. They've left it open. The CPI has not appointed too many people. The Aam Aadmi Party has saddled Raghav Chadha with a lot of responsibilities, some of the responsibilities being shouldered by Sanjay Singh. The Congress taking the lead, and some of the old stalwarts and of course those close to Sonia Gandhi also finding merit there. Mallikarjun Kharge getting some say. But the focus shifting away from Mumbai to what is going to be expected between the 18th to the 22nd of September. And here's why we're going to throw a spin into this. Is it about a common poll across the country, or is it about a common civil code, ladies and gentlemen? Let's try and understand the common poll conversation and why it makes sense and it does not make sense right now. First up, what is it for? It is to capture the state and the center in one sweep, and you have critical states coming through over the next 6 months to 1 year. You've got Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh. There is also Maharashtra, which will be soon after the 2024 Lok Sabha, and thereafter it's Delhi round the corner. So can all that be bunched together and you create a sense of a one nation, one poll? But it also makes the government look weak and insecure. You have for the first time PM Narendra Modi saying not once, twice but thrice that I'm coming back because the people's mandate is with me. Then why would you want to do something like this? Because that will be the argument कि वो डर गए. क्या really डरे? And मई तक हमारे पास time है. Why should we advance it? That's another answer. Maximum return for the Modi aura, Modi magic. Let's just take everything. जितना बटोरना है बटोर लो. That's one point. But here it also needs a constitutional amendment. You have to change the Representation of People's Act if you really want to push for a one nation, one poll. Does it actually make practical sense? Poll expenses will be reduced. That's one big say. The effort on the exchequer and on the resources, that will be vastly reduced, but it may not stand judicial scrutiny. It will be challenged in court, and the court may just call it ultra vires, the grounds on which if it is being thought about. There again, let's understand, there will be no multiple poll cycles. We as a nation will not be constantly in poll mode. जो कुछ भी होगा सब कुछ election के लिए हो रहा है. That argument itself will go away. अगला election कब? That is what every quarter we will not get into poll cycles. But a single poll cycle, is it really tenable? What if there is a government change in between? What happens? कोई भी party, including the BJP, will they fight the elections not for a full tenure of 5 years, but for just to match the interim tenure of whatever the time period is? That's the other question. Can within 2.5 years, if a government falls, will there be 2.5 years of president's rule? Is that possible? Nation not always on poll mode, like I said, but it can also cannibalize regional parties. The moment you get into doing state and center together, barring Odisha, there could be a major cannibalization of the regional parties, and that again is against the spirit of democracy, which will again put a huge lens on the current disposition. Do they really want it? Too many what if scenarios that also come through. Too many what if scenarios. But the panel formed, this panel has been formed. It's actually should be swapped. The panel has been formed only right now under the former President Ram Nath Kovind. Yesterday they've announced. Why will in the next 5 to 10 days they immediately announce? Because the panel will need some time and come back with an explanation. And of course the questions are that there are too many what if scenarios. The other reason why we are saying that for India to prep, that means the nation to prep, the argument could be about a common code. Why the argument for a common code? The argument for a common code stems from the fact that the common code has already been explored in the state of Uttarakhand, and there is a very, very enlightened, august bench that has thought about it. More importantly, from a poll point of view, from a Lok Sabha 2024 point of view, one of the boxes that has not yet been ticked from the age-old BJP manifesto and before that the Jan Sangh is common code. Ram Mandir, court judgment, it's being built. The other promise that they wanted to bring, Teen Talaq has gone, that's been done. Abrogation of 370, done. This is one which is pending. Is it the argument against a common code? It is too ambitious against a very, very diverse Bharat. The next argument for is that it has got an emotional tug and tangible impact, immediate poll benefit to the voter. कि मेरे पास एक story है कि मैं आपके पास लेके आ रहा हूँ. What's the emotional tug for one nation, one poll? Here there is a positive spin that the government and of course its entire propaganda machinery, spokespersons, everybody will talk about. But the opposition will use it to sow dissent. So that's the counter. Is that something which they can fight against? Because largely the sentiment amongst women, among Muslim women, what we conducted is that they were all wanting to have a common code across the country. A common civil code, a Bharat code. That's what they wanted to call it, not uniform in terms of the mindset or the coinage. Uttarakhand panel proposals are a template. It will impact all segments of society, not just Muslims, not just the other minorities, but even Hindus will be impacted. What does that mean then? That means a law panel in touch with the stakeholders. So there is already work being done. The impact will be on core and potential voters. So your core vote bank will also get impacted by a common code. The government has numbers to pass it in a special session. 75 lakh suggestions have already come. They could have been studied and you could make a case in point there. But the against is personal laws across the country, within tribes, within communities, all of this will be subsumed. That's what is going to happen. And more importantly, a mega poll plank for Modi Vapsi. But the courts may not back the construct unless it's well thought out. Even though the Supreme Court has very clearly said, not once, multiple times it said, it's asked for, mandated in the Constitution. Why aren't you bringing in a common civil code? What will be challenged will be the construct, just like 370 has been challenged. So that's what happens. So let's dive into the debate, ladies and gentlemen. Go across to our guests to ask them, is the conversation around what is it that India can do? Then I say the nation. And what is it that INDIA should prep for, or what their argument is going to be? C.R. Kesavan, spokesperson of the BJP with us, Sanjay Jha, political analyst, Smita Prakash, editor ANI, and A. Saravanan, spokesperson of the DMK. Now, one of the count, Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you very much. Good to have you all on the show. Some making a debut as BJP spokesperson on the right stand. That I think C.R. Kesavan, that is the case. Good to have you with us. Sanjay Jha back after a while. Saravanan, Nalla irkingla?
Yes,
Vanakkam, sir.
Nalla irukken.
Always good to have a fellow Tamilan there on the panel. We may spar, but we still are connected with our roots.
Absolutely.
Smita Prakash, the Kannada connection and the South connection, south of the Vindhyas. But here the connection is, if we draw the dots, the fingers point more towards the common code rather than a common pole. Although, if the idea, Smita Prakash, is to totally weaken I.N.D.I.A, this alliance, then you would veer towards a common pole, not a common code.
I think, Anand, right now, see, all that you had in the introduction is in the realm of speculation, because frankly, nobody knows what is going to happen in the parliament session. Everything we are doing is juggling, kite flying. There is no pakka information coming in from the government. When they are ready to give information is when journalists in Delhi get to know what's happening, unlike in the past. The thing is that the only political reality today, which we know on the 1st of September, is that there is a new alignment which has taken formation in Mumbai in the penultimate year before the general election. Will it hold till the general election? And if it is being held in the summer of 24 as was scheduled, then one has to see whether that fructifies into seat formation, it consolidates properly, and then of course one hears that today there was frustration in one quarter. Supposedly the reporters are saying that TMC was unhappy that there is lack of that there is, I don't know whether it is inertia or what, but more enterprise which should have been displayed was not done, hustle was not done, and what we saw was a top-down green signal which was given, but it's the committees which have to take it forward, and a united cadre is what has to work forward. So the low-hanging fruit, Anand, was probably a logo, a slogan, a flag. All three did not happen out here. The more difficult task is the seats sharing, or a common minimum agenda, or a narrative which was to be presented. Those were difficult things, but at least the easy ones, which was a logo, a flag, and a slogan, could have been achieved. That didn't happen, and apparently Mamata Banerjee was a little miffed, as per some reporters, that things didn't move fast enough. And if the BJP is moving towards early elections, then certainly more should have been achieved in this. But then, as Rahul Gandhi pointed out, which he's right in a way, that you had a session where you had such big stalwarts on one platform, and 3 times they have got together on one platform, which is saying a lot, which should have been done probably 2 years back. But the fact that this has happened is something which he said. On the Adani front, today, what was surprising was that before this actual meeting took place, it was only Rahul Gandhi who came to the press conference. Nobody else was there. But today, Arvind Kejriwal spoke on the Adani matter. And you saw that Rahul Gandhi immediately snapped an attention, and he looked towards him and did not take his gaze off Arvind Kejriwal. So if there was anything on that, they seem to have sealed or put a band-aid over that rupture between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress.
Well, the Adani matter is a political issue which they will raise. I am going to focus, and we are going to focus on the matters which will actually come to the aspect of this government versus the opposition, or the BJP versus the collective opposition. The agenda Saravanan in Mumbai, regional satraps, if you look at one nation, one poll, they will have a cause for worry. The other thing is the weight that should be accorded to all the regional parties in this alliance, will it be actually accorded? What actually suits the DMK, whether it is local assembly elections or if it is central elections? The argument around a common code or a common poll?
Yeah. Anand, today our leader, the Chief Minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has made a very interesting comment that the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, has become the chief PRO for the India Alliance. Everywhere he goes, he speaks about the India Alliance. The people of this country wants to hear what has he achieved, what his BJP government has achieved in the last 10 years. Are they going to see quotes by saying, oh, we implemented demonetization? Are they going to say we implemented GST? Are they going to say no, we waived off 14 lakh, 5 crore lakhs? How are they going to see quotes? Are they going to see quotes by saying, oh, we made Adani the second richest man in the whole world? What? On what ground are they going to see quotes? Are they going to see quotes that we are the only party which were responsible for the communal divide, which was not there earlier? The BJP thrives on communal divide, and the only thing which is uniting all these opposition parties is this communal syncretism. We want India. The BJP and RSS is against the idea of India. They don't want the idea of India to be a secular, a multicultural, a plural society. They want homogenization. They're obsessed. Their toxic obsession with oneness is going to be their undoing in the 2024 elections. Whatever they are going to do, it is too late, too little. They may try whatever they want. They may call any number of special sessions. They want to bring any number of legislations. They want to bring any harebrained scheme. One nation, one election, one nation, one food day, one nation, one dress day. Whatever they want to do, let them do. But they are going to be sent out. They are going to be sent packing in 2024. Well, because the scams, the common man is affected. And what have they done? 200 rupees. They thought that will take the bus off the India thing. It did not. People started asking questions. Why now? Why so little? If 200 now, why it was not done 1 year back? This is the question the common man is asking. Nobody is answering it. Everybody is celebrating 200 rupees. Even the 200 rupees less is higher than what the cylinder price was in 2020. It was 400 in 2014. If you take the international crude oil prices, the cylinder price should hover around 600 to 700. Why this windfall profit? Who's profited? It's only the corporate companies. And look at the bank balance of the BJP, 3,500 crores through electoral bonds.
I don't want to interrupt, but I'm going to request you to yield once you're done.
Yes.
So, because you've come in speech mode and you've come in an election rally mode, Saravanan. I like the gusto, and I really admire the gusto and the aggression. Seriously, but sir, it's a debate, so I have to allow others to speak also.
Yes,
so
please.
So if you yield, then I'll bring in.
I rue the fact that I am given less time. Anyway, thank you. Uninterrupted time, thank you.
Sir, today I have given you uninterrupted time and you have spoken more than 3.5, 4 minutes non-stop. And still you are saying you got less time. Sir, that's not fair.
No, Anand.
That's not fair. But anyway.
No, Anand, that's what I'm saying. The time is not enough to speak about the misdeeds of the BJP.
Correct. We'll continue to talk, sir, till the time the ballot is cast. Sir, till the time the ballot is cast, or even after the ballot is cast, we'll continue to talk about it. So you will have more time. But please yield right now. Sanjay Jha has been patiently waiting. But Sanjay ji, before I come to you, C.R. Keshavan, you would want to rebut the DMK and also tell us, what do the spokespersons officially know? Common code or common poll? Or is it just moving from one parliament to the other, old to new?
First thing is, I would like to counter Mr. Saravanan, just to say that, the people of India repose their faith in Narendra Modi ji, because India has become the 5th largest economy in the world. India is now a $3.75 trillion economy. It was a fragile economy when the partner of the Congress, was ruling for 10 years. In the last 5 years, 135 million people have been removed out of poverty. 500 million bank accounts have been created and $300 billion have been transferred, where 55% are women. 120 million households have arsenic-free water. and about Swachh Bharat Mission has given about 120 million clean toilets, securing dignity for women. And besides this has been done keeping Antyodaya, keeping the last person in the mind. More importantly, because the opposition stands for corruption, convenience, compulsion and confusion, let them understand one thing: 100 million fake beneficiaries have been removed. 100 million fake beneficiaries have been removed, and the services and the delivery of the government has gone to the people, which is why people reiterate their faith in Narendra Modi ji and will come back to power with the blessings of the people. Now, coming back to your question, Anand, this one thing you should understand: people are discussing about one nation, one poll. Look at what Narendra Modi ji has done. One nation, one tax. You've transformed the economy. One nation, one ration card. Everywhere, anybody, including migrants, can access food, and that was proved during the perilous pandemic. One nation, one flag. One nation, one constitution. You abrogated 370. Now there is democracy flourishing in Kashmir. One nation, one common civil code. It's been time and again told by the Supreme Court it's a constitutional expectation which will come. And now, one nation, one poll will ensure stability. And like the Prime Minister said in 2020 when presiding over the officers' conference, he said it's a need of the nation. It's not a deliberation, it's a need of the nation. And let us understand one thing. I want to cite this to Mr. Saravanan. When time immemorials, 1952, 57, 62, 67, it was always simultaneous elections. Why did this stop? Because their partner, the Congress party, imposed president's rule in 1959 when Mr. Nehru's daughter was made president. Importantly, between 1966 to 77, 39 times the president's rule was imposed, breaking the chain of simultaneous elections. Like Modi ji said, Indira Gandhi herself had used 356 50 times. So that was the reason. And you have law commissions, beginning with the Election Commission in 1983, which said it should be brought back. Law Commission in 99, Law Commission in 2018 said it will reduce the burden on the services.
Sir,
save the taxpayers' money, and this is the way to go forward. So I think it's a very
the point is where people are concerned, it's possible, sir. Where politicians are concerned, it becomes nearly impossible. That is why one nation, one constitution, one nation, one code, one nation, one ration card. No, everything is possible, but one nation, one poll is very difficult because you see.
It was happening, Anand.
It used to happen. My counter. Allow me to just counter in Maharashtra. Sir, in Maharashtra, the current Deputy Chief Minister in the last 5 years has taken oath twice from two different parties. So, my point is, sir, in such a scenario, will you fight an election for only 2 years, sir? Will you fight an election only for 2 years? Which political party will fight an election only for 2 years?
Anand, I'm going to take 10 seconds and seed the ground.
Yeah.
You go to the constitution debates. When you go to the constitution debates, very, very conspicuously, there is nothing about one nation, one poll. Though the founding fathers and mothers had implemented it. You know why? Because they never thought there will be a travesty and assault on the constitutional framework like the Congress did. Which is why one nation, one poll needed to be.
But my point is, sir, I know Saravanan as a counter. Let Sanjay Jha also come into the debate. But the argument today, sir, is it does not practically seem possible at the.
Why are you jumping the gun? Let the panel and the coach.
Correct. So that's exactly what I'm coming to. Kesavanji, please yield. Please yield. What I'm trying to say is you have formed the panel only yesterday. How are you going to get the panel's report by the 18th of September to even announce it? Sanjay Jha, so clear.
Who told you it's going to be tabled in the session? Why are you jumping the gun?
I'm not jumping the gun. I'm just saying it's not possible. So then you're leaning to the other unfulfilled promise of the common code. Sir, जनसंघ हिस्ट्री आपको याद है 3 चीज बोला था 370 हटाएंगे राम मंदिर बनाएंगे कॉमन कोड लाएंगे पहला 2 हो गया तीसरा बचा है that's a possibility that's what I'm saying Sanjay Jha.
When did abrogation happen? It's in 2019 after the election. Anand, please remember that. So this could happen after the election if you start the process.
Okay. Now let Sanjay Jha speak. Sir, CR Keshavan, please yield. Yeah, Sanjay Jha.
Anand, first and foremost, I need to congratulate you for explaining the one nation, one poll in a very dispassionate impartial argument, putting both sides of the argument on the table. And I think that's the way I really like debates where you actually get a very fair assessment of where the conversation ought to be going. Secondly, my friend Saravanan has actually already, I think, laid most of the cards on the table. So let me add to what Saravanan has actually already hit for a 6. Couple of points to the BJP spokespersons. I mean, it's important not to indulge in fakery and lies. Here are 2 points on the GDP before I make my larger statement. You know, the GDP, Narendra Modi and the BJP and the spokesperson on the show today, they keep on and on about GDP. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching this program, the GDP is one indicator, but it has to be divided by the population of the country to understand what is the per capita health of every individual in this country. Does the BJP spokesperson, I think Narendra Modi doesn't know at all, I'm sure, that India is the poorest among G20 countries today on per capita income. Do you know that on per capita income, India is ranked below 150 in this world? I mean, for God's sake, stop fooling the people of this country. This is a party that, you know, Anand, frankly, is brazenly crony capitalist. It's pretty obvious with the headlines you see every day. And therefore, the concentration of wealth in a few hands increases the GDP. They're very happy with that. Point number 1. Point number 2, very important to add this point. You know, they keep talking about 5 trillion economy. यार 5 trillion economy 2014 के बाद नहीं आई है भैया. 2000 उसमें मनमोहन सिंह की contribution है, वाजपेयी का भी contribution है, सबका contribution है. To give you one example, between 2004 to 14, India grew at 7% GDP. I'm taking the World Bank figures, not some rhetoric from some fictitious, rhetoric of the RSS wing. 7% between 2004 to 14. What is the growth in the last 9 years? 5.7%. That is the reality. They will tell you कि हमारे टाइम में तो कोविड हुआ था, तो भैया हमारे टाइम में भी बहुत बड़ा एक ब्लैक स्वान मोमेंट हुआ था. That was called the Great Recession that pulled all world economies back by a couple of years. So I think we are even Stevens. Facts don't lie. Now let me tell you quickly, there are recent, I'm not going to take the entire history because I can write a whole book and an encyclopedia on how BJP has destroyed India. But let me make 4 quick points. This is the most corrupt, communal and criminal party in India's political history. Look at Muzaffarpur. You have a prime minister who's so scared. I mean, the strong word for that would be a coward, but I won't because he's the prime minister. He's so scared he doesn't talk on a gang rape of a woman for 78 days till a video goes viral. I mean, is this political leadership? Do you think a president of the US or the prime minister of UK would have even survived it? No way. Number 2, you have today, Anand, you are a sports lover and so am I. Can you imagine, Anand? And right now, just look at this situation. India's women wrestlers are going to compete in a global arena without the national anthem, without the national flag. और ये अपने आप को nationalist कहते हैं. I mean, this is an insult. And why? To protect a sexual predator from the BJP. You shaming this country. Point number 3. You have a situation today in Haryana. I don't want to debate the Haryana communal configuration, but if the courts use the word, is Haryana facing a potential ethnic cleansing? Is this a legacy of Narendra Modi? Point number 4. You have a situation today where a railway officer responsible for protecting the passengers goes on a killing spree, kills his boss, hunts down Muslims in the different compartments. And what nara did he make after he killed them? I challenge the BJP spokesperson today to repeat what Chetan Singh said in the train. If the BJP spokesperson today can repeat what that Chetan Singh said, I'll say hats off to you. Correct. These are 4, but I can make a laundry list of them.
See, sir, Smita Prakash, you want to respond? There are so many instances where I just felt Sanjay Jha was a classic case of pot calling the kettle black. But Smita Prakash, please respond. The day I am not on the anchor's chair and I can stand there as an analyst or an independent spokesperson, there would be a lot I would want to say. But right now I'm going to follow my dharma as an anchor and I'm going to wait here. Yes, Smita Prakash.
The BJP spokesperson can counter Mr. Jha. The only thing I would say is that the opposition... See what the DMK spokesperson said, that what will you go to the polls with? Asking the BJP, what will you go to the polls with? That's exactly what the BJP is going to do in the parliament session, which is list out what all they have achieved, whether it's Chandrayaan, whether it is, I don't want to go through the list. I think Mr. Keshavan can go through the list. So they are going to go through that in the parliament session. And in every rally, in every TV debate, in every town hall meeting, they will list out what they have done. Clearly, the opposition, on the other hand, has not set out their narrative. On TV debates, you might have spokespersons or wannabe spokespersons who will come and tell you that this is what the Congress has achieved in its tenure under Dr. Manmohan Singh. But they have not, as a unit, the India grouping has not listed out what they want to achieve and what they have achieved in their respective states. And if it is just going to be an anti-Modi diatribe, that has not worked in the past, whether it is Maut Ka Saudagar or Chai Wala. But if in their wisdom they feel that going after Modi will give them electoral gains this time around, when it didn't give them in 2018, it didn't give them in 2014, then they are free to go ahead and do it. But I think the wise among the people out there at the India grouping realize that the hunt is on for a Harkishan Singh Surjeet kind of a figure who can put aside personal ambition, who can put aside the viciousness and come across with some consensus. And there were so many top-notch leaders who have been in that grouping, who've been chief ministers, who've been cabinet ministers also. And they've been all that in the past. But then today, what is happening is that the pulls and pressures of their state politics was holding them back. There has to be one person out there who has to realize that they need to come out of that. And what didn't work in 2018, what didn't work in 2014 has to be cast aside, and they have to come out with a new narrative. Right. If they can do that, or if they can fall into the trap which Mr. Jha has done right now, if they want to fall into that trap and if they think in their wisdom that that is going to win them 2024 or 2023, who knows when the next election is, good for them.
Right. So, C.R. Keshavan, I'll give you the final word. Before that, Saravanan. And gentlemen, I am already over on the debate, but I'm extending this by another 3 minutes. 90 seconds to Saravanan and 90 seconds to C.R. Keshavan. Please bear with me if I interrupt you in 90 seconds.
Yeah, please.
Uninterrupted 90 seconds, Saravanan.
Yes,
go ahead.
Yes, Anand. See, the problem here is this. It's not as though we don't have a narrative. The narrative is very, very simple. We want our India, which has been besmirched by the BJP. We want an India which is not communally divided. We want an India where the poor are coming out of their poverty. Maganrega scheme is a classic example. Mr. Modi chided that scheme, and then he was one of the biggest supporters of the scheme later on. Now, it's not against Mr. Modi. Our leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has made it very clear. We don't have any grudge against Mr. Modi, but he is the face of the ideology of the BJP and the RSS, which we are opposing. And the entire country is now fed up with the policies of the BJP. They don't have anything in their pocket. Even everybody is understanding the power of social media. They know the international crude oil prices is hovering at a low, but that benefit is not passed on to me. I am suffering. But there is no job opportunities for the youth. It is the duty. They have promised that. Right. And everybody is asking, where is the 15 lakhs?
Sir,
and this time it will resonate.
4, 3, 2, 1, 90 seconds up. Yes, 90 seconds. Thank you, Saravanan. Thank you.
First, I'll answer Mr. Saravanan. Pathetic. He's with the Congress party. In 1974, they talk about Kacche TV. They granted it without going to parliament. He talks about democracy. He's with the Congress party who imposed and attacked and assaulted the constitution with 42nd Amendment. They talk about NEET and how it became on the concurrent list. It's the Congress party in 1976 which moved it, to the concurrent list from the, union list. That's it for Mr. Saravanan. Coming back to Mr. Jha. What about this, Punjab program which the Congress did, which Manishankar Ayerji talked about? You have Sanjay Rawat. Don't interrupt me, Sanjay. Please don't interrupt me. Have the courtesy. Sanjay Rawat said Muslims should be disenfranchised. Sanjay Rawat said Muslims shouldn't have voting rights. And you have this caucus of contradiction. They are, and before that I'll come on to the economy and then I'll conclude. He talked about the economy. What did the World Bank say? The World Bank said India is the strongest economy to take on global headwinds. IMF says it's a, bright spot. You talk about the Bank of International Settlements. They said India has achieved financial inclusion in 47 years. In whatever is done in 47, done in 7 years. And you have the Navik chip indigenously made. You have GPS.
Sir, 5,
No. We have the first time women pilots in the military. First time ever. You have the Bofors gun, but we had an Indian-made gun giving salute on the Independence Day.
Sir, I have to wind up. Sir, I have to wind up. I have to be fair to everybody. Please yield. This debate will continue. Sir, I am 4 minutes over on my show, but panelists for the second debate are already here. I have to be fair with them.
Opposition is a magic box.
Sir, who's a magic box, who's not, the ballot will decide. I'm more curious what's going to happen between the 18th to the 22nd. That's what is more important right now, because it's going to be something which everybody's got to... Little Bird, while I leave, has told me all cabinet secretaries have been asked to stay in the capital between the 18th to the 22nd and said exclusive permission has to be taken before you leave the city. Something's going to happen, sir. Something is going to happen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's quickly move on, ladies and gentlemen. The countdown to the much anticipated, awaited G20 summit has begun. India is geared up to host the mega event for the first in the national capital and will be the Vishwamitra to the world, with several foreign delegates will be visiting. The government is taking all steps to avoid any misadventure. In fact, the Indian Air Force has announced to hold a major training exercise codenamed Operation Trishul. Interestingly, the drills will be carried out in the northern sector with the borders of China and Pakistan. Let's quickly tell you a little more about it. Operation Trishul will be a 11-day mega event deliberately planned from the 4th to the 14th of September. So that's what they're going to be doing. It's going to be keeping the G20 in mind. The Rafale will be pressed into play 8 to 10. That's when the G20 summit is happening. All major fleets of the fighter aircraft, Rafale, Mirage 2000, Sukhoi MKI, including the Chinooks and Apache, will be participating. It's an attempt to counter threats. The exercise will be carried out in the northern sector along with the borders of China and Pakistan. The places are Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir and of course Punjab. Top government sources also revealing to News 18 that Operation Trishul has been cleared by the top officials of the government and will be monitored by the National Security Advisor himself. That's the big news. The NSA Ajit Doval himself is going to be monitoring it. Government sources revealing the operation will definitely ramp up the security level during the period, and we will be able to identify major strengths and weaknesses of the forces before formal setting up of the theatre command. Let's give you some more dynamics there. The operation is designed to counter any misadventure along our borders. Government sources have revealed the operation has been planned with an idea that the enemies will try to show the world that India is facing a major terror problem or major issues of strife. The idea is to conduct the exercise and to showcase India's power and strength on all fronts. The government source also reveals that there are specific threats. China is already on high alert on the Leh-Ladakh side with heavy deployment for the last 3 years. Punjab border facing drone weapons and drugs on a daily basis, and line of control is facing infiltration issue from Pakistan. So it's three-pronged. But what was the reason for the government to conduct such an exercise? There have been several incidents in the past that coincided with major visits with foreign dignitaries. These incidences led to a question if these incidents were actually orchestrated or did they just happen organically. 23rd of May, G20 in Kashmir, government made last-minute changes to G20 Tourism Working Group conference itinerary after security forces found out that terror groups who had conspired to repeat 26/11 type attack in Gulmarg at the behest of the ISI. Feb 2020. Donald Trump's visit. Terror outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed released a threat video to the Indian government. Video calls for revenge and the killers would not be forgiven. Trump's visit. Northeast Delhi violence during the president's visit to Delhi. Over 50 people killed. Violence that broke over CAA. March 2000. Bill Clinton's visit. Massacre of 35 Sikh villagers in Chitti Singhpura, village of Anantnag district, Jammu and Kashmir, on the eve of US President Bill Clinton's visit. October 2019, EU lawmakers Kashmir visit. At least 17 people, including 2 women, were injured in the grenade attack in Baramulla. So there are many issues like that. Sushant Sarinji is with us, and we also have Lieutenant General Syed Asa Hasnain. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. Regret the delay in coming across to you, but your thoughts, sir. Operation Trishul, is it timely? Is India telling them, yes, it's an economic confederation, we're talking trade, but we are also watching out for any terror attacks or attack on our borders to try and derail this leadership summit? General Hasnain.
Right, thank you. First of all, Anand, thank you for inviting me for this very important show. Not that I have any inside information, but what I can do is make a perceptual appreciation, which is what we do many times in the armed forces. Yes, you're 100% right. This event is taking place, I mean the importance of this event, if you look at it, after 40 years. The last time we conducted an event of such importance was perhaps the Commonwealth heads of government meeting and also the NAM meeting in 1983. Thereafter, we've had the Commonwealth Games in 2010, but they were nothing compared to this. This is a huge, huge event, and it's also coming at a very appropriate moment. It is coming at a time when India has come out of the pandemic, has emerged much stronger. We are one of the few nations with a minus 24%, degradation of our economy, rose to minus 7% and has come back to 6.5%. We are the fastest growing economy in the world. The world's attention is on India, and G20 has been a very, very great success the last 1 year. India's chairmanship of it, a number of new initiatives have been taken. You see, this is the time of India coming on the scene. $3.5 trillion economy. You're looking towards a $5 trillion economy if everything goes well. When things like this happen to a nation, there are always adversaries who are at play who would not like to see that nation grow without obstacles being placed in the way. And you have brought out a number of such obstacles which have taken place in the past, so I completely agree with that. The way I look at it, before we go into other aspects of this particular exercise, I think this is an exercise primarily on the board, which is taking place, a great thinking and an appreciation exercise. As you yourself brought out, pre-theaterization, an exercise taking place, not so much physically except the Air Force, which is perhaps doing a demonstrations, but a general alert. No one is looking at a conventional war situation out here. What you're looking at is acts which are tactical, sub-tactical at 1 minute and in 5 minutes become strategic.
Yes.
It's the kind of thing which happened at Chittisingpura, which is very correctly quoted by you. So you have the line of control, you've got the line of actual control with China there sitting since 2020. You have other vulnerabilities all over India. We have had this for a long time as far as terrorist threats are concerned. So it is only correct that we have to take our precautions and ensure that this particular conference goes through smoothly, because this is India's arrival on the bigger stage.
Very well said. And Sushant Sareen, let's combine all of this with the kind of search and combing operations that happened along the LOC. Infiltration bid was foiled. Now NIA has conducted raids and they've just brought down 3 or 4 modules in a multi-state raid that were planning attacks. So there is internal security issue. There is also the borders issue. And there are entities who want to derail this. They want something or the other that will hog the headlines and not India's rise and also the leadership summit. Sushant Sareen.
Yeah, so on a lighter note, the dangers from across the borders, I have greater trepidation of what will happen in the parliament session after the G20 than, because Mr. Modi is known to be pulling a lot of surprises over people.
Yes.
And last time something like this happened, we had demonetization. So I'm keeping fingers crossed. But on this particular issue, Anand, look, I think the purpose of this exercise is one, a show of force. It is a kind of a precautionary deployment, if you will. Though this exercise was obviously not conjured up in the last week, 15 days or 1 month. There would have been a lot of planning which would have gone to have this kind of an exercise, which means that there was an anticipation that there will be troublemakers and spoilers who will try and spoil India's party for it. So at one level, this is precautionary. At another level, I think it's also a kind of a threat to countries like Pakistan in particular, that in case they were to do something like a Chittisingpura, your Air Force is all primed and ready, and I don't know, I think all bets are going to be off if the Pakistanis are going to try something funny. Now, at one level, you can say that, look, neither the Chinese will or the Pakistanis will try anything funny, because, if the Chinese president, he still has not said no, but at least the prime minister, if he's coming, then I don't think they would want to indulge in this kind of an activity, although they've done it when Jinping came in 2014.
Even in the past, Deng Xiaoping ke aane se pehle, they moved into Demchok, and there was lots of stuff they've done.
Actually, the Chinese have always done it. When Indians have gone to China, they've done something stupid, and when they have come out here, they have done something stupid. And I don't know why people attribute a lot of brains to the Chinese, given how stupidly they act. And then there are the Pakistanis on whom you can always depend upon doing something stupid. Despite the fact that they are bankrupt. Already, you know, there is a lot of information coming out about how they are trying to have these new narrative building factories using some of these characters in Jammu and in Srinagar to peddle their narrative. And then, you know, you take it to the next stage forward, you try and create some kind of a terror incident. So I think there is also that danger. So a lot of this action is going to be taking place both as a precaution as well as a threat. And I think it's good that somebody has thought this through, anticipated what might happen, tried to preempt it, tried to give a warning to some of these characters that it'll be a no holds barred kind of a thing if you were to try something funny. So I think that is where we are at right now. But let us see how things work out. I think there's going to be a big party on 9th and 10th. I think I agree with General Hasnan when he says that, you know, this is in a sense India's big moment, India's coming out party. India is actually establishing itself on the world stage as a very significant economic player, as a significant global player, even on many areas where there are disputes between various countries. Again, I think the Chinese would also try and use diplomacy to try and muddy the waters. They have given some hints on that. There will be those diplomatic glitches which will happen, but I think the Indian diplomats are pretty smart and very clued in, and they will probably have also anticipated those, and we will be working on workarounds. So all fingers crossed, both for G20 as well as for the Parliament session which is going to hold.
Everybody's imagination is just one small tweet by Prahlad Joshi ji, and see, everybody is focused on what's going to happen between 18th to 22nd. 8th, 9th, 10th now suddenly becomes less relevant. But not that it is equally relevant, and perhaps that's the shining moment they would want to talk about in that special session. But General Ata Hasnain, like you said, to move from tactical to strategic, to tactical to, absolutely, is this message also the reason why? Because the de-escalation and the disengagement in those two areas, Depsang, Demchok, has not yet happened. And there is some amount of activity expected in BRI. Xi Jinping is expected to be there. Putin is expected to be there. So are we expecting some kind of aji-baji?
See, Anand, this is a big thing happening, not just concerning India, but internationally. And we are in a very awkward situation at this time, and we are in the middle of this war taking place in Ukraine. The world is divided across virtually at the moment, with China and Russia on one side, the United States, NATO, the West on the other side. And India is, of course, a major swing power which is in the middle. Everything you see with the Chinese president not coming, the Russian president not coming, we got to appreciate that this is becoming a more of a US-India, India-West kind of event, which to the Chinese, to the Russians may not want this to appear as a great success. They don't want this kind of a messaging to go to the world, that the affairs of the world post-pandemic are being managed in this manner, and that India is a major player in that. So with all this happening, obviously there will, as Sushant Sareen very correctly says, some diplomatic efforts here and there, statements here and there, leaders going to particular spots and speaking from there, as you say, about the BRI itself. All this is going to make a huge difference. But nothing is going to be bigger than an act somewhere against the interests of this particular event. Show India in poor light. And this need not happen in Delhi. A lot of people who may not be primed on security affairs may think that it could happen in Delhi alone. No, this can happen all over. And not only here, it can happen around the world. It can happen on Indian facilities around the world. It can happen on an Indian ship somewhere. It can happen on an Indian embassy, like it's happened with the Khalistanis in Canada or in the UK. Any of these places, it can happen. The idea is symbolism. It is symbolism, sending home a message that you may be thinking that you are catch whiskers, you are a power
Right.
which is to reckon with, but here we are showing you your weakness to the entire world.
Yeah,
That is the kind of
I
messaging we
think
have to
it
be
should be
prepared.
important to also have perhaps a shoot at sight or grab at sight order for any of these miscreants who try to do some aji-baji at the airports also. Some cryptic messages have come from these goons, and they've tried to do it with the metro stations. They now want to, they're making calls for the airports. There should be some serious counter there, and there'll be no corners cut, or the law, hard hand of the law needs to fall on them. Thank you very much, General Hasnain, and also Sushant Sareen. Thank you very much. Short but very engaging conversation. Have to take a very short break here on The Right Stand. When we come back, after Chandrayaan, it's Aditya-L1. Moon done, sun next. Stay with us.
The understanding of these violent eruptions on the sun and which one of them is going to come towards the earth, which one of them is going to give rise to a disturbance in air space. The first thing is we need a statistical database. This is the first time it is being attempted. And the proposed lifetime of this Aditya-L1 mission is 5 years. But given by the past experience, it is very much expected that it can go very well beyond the 5 years. Hopefully, when you say 5 years, it is half a solar cycle. We should be able to have enough database to have, or statistically we will be able to predict these events well in advance. And from there, first thing is we need to understand why these events are happening. What are the signatures on the solar atmosphere which one should look for to say confidently and ambiguously that such an event is going to erupt. Now the next thing is, when I talk about these solar eruptions, and also I mentioned that the underlying sunspots are the cause for these things. The sunspots can be anywhere on the surface of the sun. It can be near the limb of the sun, that's the edge of the photosphere, or it can be near the disk of the sun, center of the disk of the sun also. When a sunspot is at the limb of the sun, and because of the magnetic field changes, it gives rise to a CME, that CME is primarily in the sky plane. On the contrary, if there is a sunspot near the center of the sun's disk, if it decides to erupt because the magnetic field changes, what happens is that eruption is going to travel straight along the sun-earth line. So the point here is, those sunspots which are near the center of the solar disk, they are potentially more geo-effective. Right. So now we need to monitor that particular database of those sunspots which are near the sun surface, whether the size of the sunspot is important, whether the appearance of a sunspot of a new polarity by the side of an existing sunspot is important. All these things, as we know, that we need a statistical data set, which hopefully at the end of these 5 years, or touch wood, if it goes beyond the 5 years also, we should have enough statistical data to come out with a better understanding of what we are as on date.
So you've deciphered the whole mission for viewers and common people like us. Hopefully we'll get some great insights, exciting times for you. Thank you for speaking to CNN News 18, sir.
After conquering the moon with Chandrayaan 3, ISRO is setting its sights on the sun. ISRO will launch the PSLV C-57 for the Aditya-L1 mission on the 2nd of September at 11:50 am from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. The Aditya-L1 will be India's first ever mission to study the sun.
There are many more missions we should do. It's not limited to moon. We need to go to Mars, we need to go to Venus, we need to understand other planets, sometimes go out of our Earth solar system also to other exosolar planets. So all these are needed. We should do all of this. These are first stepping stones of achieving that. For our generation, this is a step. Then for next generation, there will be many bigger steps.
The name Aditya comes from the Hindi word for the sun. The spacecraft aims to study solar winds which can cause disturbance on Earth and are commonly seen as auroras. Recently, the European Space Agency had detected many small jets of charged particles expelled intermittently from the corona, which is the sun's outer atmosphere. This could help shed some light on the origins of solar wind. In the long run, data from this mission could help better understand the sun's impact on the Earth's climate patterns. And this in turn can have a profound impact on our planet's environment and technology. India's heavy-duty launch vehicle, the PSLV, will launch the Aditya-L1. The spacecraft will travel 1.5 million kilometers in about 4 months to study the Sun's atmosphere. Aditya-L1 will go to something called a Lagrange point, which is where objects stay put because of balancing gravitational forces and thereby reduce fuel consumption for the aircraft. The spacecraft will be put in orbit around the L1 point, from where it will be able to observe the Sun without any obstructions.
No, actually that is a study project. I think they are going to study at a distance of 15 lakh kilometers. It is going closer to Sun, and they are trying to understand the core, and it's a good project. See, in ISRO we have no dearth of knowledge or intelligence or anything.
In 2018, NASA's Parker Solar Probe came closer to the Sun than any other previous spacecraft. It went right through the Sun's outer layer and endured extremely high temperatures exceeding 1000 degrees Celsius. But the Parker Solar Probe continued to function without any issues. On the contrary, the Aditya-L1 spacecraft will be positioned much farther from the Sun than NASA's Parker Solar Probe. It will not encounter such intense heat. The Aditya-L1 spacecraft will transport 7 instruments to study the Sun's outer layers, such as the photosphere, chromosphere, and outermost regions. These instruments will include detectors for electromagnetic and particle activities,
Well, moon done, sun next. So after Chandrayaan 3, ISRO's next big mission is Aditya-L1. And Aditya-L1, fantastic, doesn't it look here? It's going to be launched at 11:50 a.m. on the 2nd of September from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. The Aditya-L1 spacecraft is designed for providing remote observations of the solar corona and in-situ observations of the solar wind L1, which is about 1.5 million kilometers from the Earth. The mission is to decode the secrets of the Sun as it looks. Big ball of gas, but what secrets does it have and what does that mean for humanity and this planet? Let's try and understand that. India's mission Sun is a 1500 kilogram satellite that is going to reach L1 point and 100 days to reach the halo orbit, 1.5 million kilometers away from the Earth. 7 payloads on board PSLV-XL. The journey to study the Sun and to also mark that L1 point is 1.5 million kilometers, a 100-day journey. Now, why explore the Sun? The first reason why they need to explore the Sun is to study solar winds and their origin. Also, the impact on Earth's climate pattern. Also, understanding the weather in space. Provides insights into the galaxy. These are all the reasons why we need to understand and explore the Sun. Also, let's understand the historic success of Chandrayaan 3 and now with Aditya-L1 mission, ISRO has become the talk of the town with its rise to a testament to India's space diplomacy. When it comes to space, scientific collaboration is crucial and the results are meant to be shared for the greater good. India's Space Odyssey lives by these principles and is a blueprint for other aspiring countries. Collaborative efforts with various countries and institutions is enabling more comprehensive and accurate analysis of celestial phenomena, planetary conditions and cosmic phenomena. Even at the G20 summit, space tech will be an agenda. Chandrayaan 3 is ISRO's latest achievement, but the space agency was not alone in attempting this feat. The ground stations of NASA and ESA had a significant role to play when it came to tracking the trajectory and health of the spacecraft. European Space Agency provided 3 antennas to help India in the moon mission. The antennas operated from the French Guiana, United Kingdom and Australia. Also, the antennas were used to keep a watch on the lander and propulsion module. The ESA also worked as a communication channel between ISRO and the satellite. NASA's Deep Space Network was actually providing telemetry and tracking coverage during the powered descent phase. This is not the first time that ISRO has collaborated with foreign nations. Let's also tell you about the Space Alliance with NASA. Chandrayaan 1, NASA's moon mineralogy mapper was used, helped discover the presence of water molecules. Mangalyaan, NASA provided communication support. Landsat 8 satellite, ISRO's thermal small infrared sensor was included, used to monitor the Earth's surface temperature. NISAR, the collaboration between ISRO and NASA Earth observing mission worth $1.5 billion, will observe planet every 12 days. The site will study climate, ecosystems and also seismic activity. Artemis Accord, the alliance on exploration and manned missions, has also been signed. So there is so much more that's being done. Just this moon landing and now, of course, towards the sun. That's all we have time for in this edition of The Right Stand. Zaka ready with brass tacks. Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. It is a huge political story, the biggest political story this election season. One nation, one poll. It is something that the Prime Minister is very keen on. He's talked about this in the past, including to interviews here to Network 18, that how we are perennially in election mode and how there is a need to have one nation, one poll. And to that extent, today the government has announced that they have formed a committee under former President Ram Nath Kovind. It will have other very, very prominent members, including a retired Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, a retired Chief Election Commissioner.